So Sony has released a monstrosity with a tiny 1-inch sensor smaller than my. Let me tell you something, nothing is smaller than my. Sony has no place in our world. Let's just talk about this $6,000 camcorder that just came out that can't even perform better than the ZVE1.
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
So we're on the DJI Pocket 3. It seems to have fixed itself. It was pointed awkwardly and I was panicking. I thought it was broken. I just wiggled it a bunch. I was like, come on, gave it a little massage. Now it seems, I don't know what that's all about. That was weird. I wrote a bunch of notes. Sony ZVE1, a camcorder, was just released. We also have a question, a camcorder related question that we'll get to. People always tell me, like, photographers enter into my chat saying, hey man, why don't you just shoot on the video camera? You're doing video, right? Oh my God, the market research done for that sentence to be, what's happening? Why are we doing it? Uber replaced you. Oh no, he heard it. Okay, listen to these specs. We got a 1-inch sensor with the 20.9 megapixel sensor. Now, this is a video camera designed to shoot. It doesn't do 6K, it doesn't do anything. It does 4K, 120p, we'll get to that. Why so many megapixels? I'll tell you why. It's because it's an old ass sensor and they just wanted to reuse it. Sony is a recycling plant. We know that. They love the environment. You buy any of their cameras now and it's like, look, barely any packaging. The packaging's in there, buddy. I'll dig it out. So it's not like Sony went to work hoping to design an amazing camcorder that will please everybody and just pushing the industry forward. No, they're reusing their Sony ZVE1 sensor. That's probably the same one in the RX frickin' 100 Mark IV before it was even stacked. And because of that, you're getting like 4K 120p with a 23% crop on your tiny 1-inch sensor. Now you're back into GoPro territory with that sensor size. So it's just, even though it's designed for video, the only reason you have higher megapixels is if you wanted 8K, 6K, or taking photos of things. Take a photo of that guy, this thing, and it's like, it's not the greatest photo you ever seen. It's kind of triggering to a lot of people, and then you crop in on it, and now your megapixels are put to good use. But if you're not doing that, high megapixels only Fs you in your video specs. So we want lower the megapixel, the better. I'm spending way too much time on this. So it's an old ass sensor with no boss stabe. Sony, you're known for boss stabilization. It's the coolest name, it's the best effect. Very stable. Things floats inside, the own lens floats inside its own body like a baby in a womb. And it's just like wiggling. It's unforgivable that it's not in there. So it's like, I've seen the stabe, it's not good, it's just jerky. Usually camcorder stabe, it's like that's what you get it for. It never overheats and it can record for 3 hours straight. Okay, you have some advantages, but no boss stabe. Wow. We haven't even gotten to the bad specs yet, the disappointing specs. We've only been paying attention to the fun things, and even those are bad. Wait till we get to the disappointing aspects of this camera. A 24 to 480, and here's where you go on B&H and you're like, oh wow, that and a 2.8 to 4.5, that's not bad. That's not the Tony equivalent, is it? No, you're looking at a Tony 7.5 to 12. And I randed down on the 12. It's 12.15 if we're being real. And you would notice it. The 0.15 Tonys, if one of them kicks your shin, you're gonna be like, ow. Even though you're a 0.15th, that joke was fire, right? I'll leave. You know, I almost bought a bike like that, a cargo bike, because I grocery shop so much, I was gonna get stuff like that. The huge bags and the big back, and I could put watermelons on it. Oh, the life of a fruitarian. So this is kind of the disappointing aspect of any camcorder, is you're not getting any background blur, and I'm with you on the fact that sometimes you want to stop it down, but even then, when I say that myself and then I do it, I'm like, damn, that looks like shit. What are you talking about? Like, a movie gets away with it because they have all this lighting and these cinema lenses that give you the 3D pop that even a Zeiss couldn't manifest for you. So it's like, I'd never get the look, man. Like, my 24-105, it was a Tony 4, and I compared it to all the primes, and I was like, damn, each prime looks so much better, it's not even funny, and it's mostly because it can blur the background more. Sometimes it was ridiculous, okay, I admit it. 135mm Tony 2, it's like, okay, what are we even doing here? Sometimes it's fun to stop it open wide and wide down the Tony. But like a 24mm 7.5, if I'm to vlog with that thing, and it's heavy as hell, it's heavy as all hell, 1960 grams. That, like, I was dying with that C100 Mark II and the 24-105. It was about that weight, a bit more, slightly. And we don't even know if that's including the top handle and all this stuff, the lens hood. Probably not. So it's probably heavier. Like, unridiculous amounts of heft. Too heavy. And the separation, it's gone. It's like you have this versatility, like, show me a lens that does 24-480. Who asked for it? Nobody needs it. Like, yeah, you can do something that no one asked for. Congratulations. Just like the Olympus lens, the 150-600, and they're like, show me a 1200mm equiv on the full frame. You don't even have it. You don't even need it. No one needs it. Just a little APS-C crop. My Nikon can do it. If I put the 2x teleconverter on there, that's 1200, and then APS-C crop, like 16 if it was an 1800. It would look like shit. On the plus side, you have electronic variable ND in there. Kind of cool. 2 to 7 stops. Usually that's not enough. On my C100 Mark II, I got 2 to 6. And I'm like, that's awesome. My 1.2 disagrees that it even exists. I still have to use an ND filter, and then you have 2 ND filters ruining your life in some way, fighting together. The more glass, the worse. We all know that. You just added at least 2 elements. But with this bullshit 1-inch sensor and your Tony 7.5, you might be okay with that 2 to 7 stop, and it's electronic and variable auto. What I don't know is, does that work in all modes? Because sometimes there's a hammer that reaches in. This is a Sony show. What are you doing here? I don't have to deal with you. You're a Canon thing. You cripple, yeah. I'm sure Sony borrows you from time to time, and it's not even hard to wield you. You don't need the strength of Thor. It's like, you just use it. You're rentable. But like, whatever. I'll buy the R5 II. I'm gonna mention it next after this. It's fine. The dynamic range of that R5 II, it matches your R7, right? So I just don't know if that electronic variable ND works in 4K 120 or in all modes with every zoom range. I don't know. There could be some caveat, but that's amazing. You pick your Tonys, but like, you're a camcorder. I'm wide open, bro. At Tony 12, like, no one cares. You're already in diffraction. So it's like you have no separation. You're not even micro four thirds level of separation. That's embarrassing. But this next spec is what debunks all camcorders from even having a relevant conversation about what kind of thing should I buy. I didn't even write it down. Oh, I'm a piece of shit. Oh, I looked it up and I didn't write it down. Oh, that's a bitch. The price. It's like $60 to $100 Canadian with tax. Are you joking? That's the same price as the Canon R5 II. No lens, okay, but you have full frame 4K 120, HD 240, 8K RAW. And any lens you want after that, you spend a couple more coins. But this is what makes camcorders completely irrelevant. It's the price. It's always so high for what you get when it's just the image quality and you're thinking, okay, 24mm Tony 7.5. You get any micro four thirds setup with the 12mm Tony 2 Olympus It's like, holy cow, you do a side-by-side and you're like, wow, what are you shooting on? It's a little Olympus and it was cheap as hell. Versus this new expensive camcorder. What are we even doing? You compare it to anything, just side-by-side comparison. You're like, why does that look like a cheap uncle's camcorder where he's like at a picnic and he brought sausages or something? It's like, we already were grilling meat. You didn't need to bring your old sausages that were in your basement hanging up. It's like, leave us alone. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. If I was to forego this camcorder, Sony Z200, $6,200 I have in my pocket now, I could buy a Sony ZVE1 with any 3 Zeiss lenses used, and we'll do a little side-by-side comparison. How come one looks like it was released in 1925? You're garbage. You're not even in the conversation. Just get a video camera. Have you looked into what video cameras are offering us in this day and age? 2024, and we're doing Tony 7.5 on the wide end. 24mm, is that long enough? Not really. Good luck extending that 2 kilograms fully extended, and it's shaky as hell. There's no boss stave. And then, but look, I can zoom in on that construction worker 30 feet away from me. That's good content, right? It wasn't, and you've never done anything good. Brings us to our camcorder related question. Casey, aren't there any old camcorders that can hold their own to these new cameras? I'd love to get your take on that. I have a Canon HF 200. I think I had that too. That man gave it to me. He gave me 2 of them. I gave those away. They were interesting. They did look all right. Canon color science, if I'm being real with you. No mic jack in the thing. That was wonderful. Damn thing will rocks. Still rocks. No stave though. Love you, goat. Phone channel, but love from South Africa. Hey, Duplessis, you know what I mean? He's good. Do you like him? Look, let me level with you. I'm constantly looking for fun things to buy and test and review. I bought the Canon V10 as a joke, just to see how bad it was, knowing that I would probably sell it immediately, but at least we could have some fun for a few episodes, and it looked okay. It's just using the camera was surprisingly, shockingly bad. I've looked for camcorders. I'm always looking like, okay, video-centric. That's why I bought the C100 Mark II. It's like, that's a real camcorder, a cinema cam meant for one thing, video. And it was like 8 megapixels, 9 if it was a foot. But I'm looking online for camcorders. I'm like, why is that so much? For what size sensor? It's like 1/2.5? Like, what are we even doing? My action cams now have way bigger sensors. What are we doing here? Like, just for the zoom range? And I can record for 4 hours straight? Who does that? Soccer game moms? No one watches the thing back. What do you do with the footage? It's lost forever. It's on a VHS tape. Betamax if you're lucky. Like, leave us alone. Why are you bothering me? But if you're thinking, like, what could I get in the camcorder industry that will be somewhat equivalent to any mirrorless or a point and shoot, and there's nothing. I've looked at it all, man. Like the Sony AX53. I've looked at it. It has Boss Stabe, but the tiniest sensor you ever seen in your life. They're all starting at like 28 mil, and then digital Stabe crop on top of that, and it's heavier than mirrorless mostly, and the specs are gone, and it's old Sony color science. You have a night vision mode. Yeah, that'll be great for one video, and then I see my alien ass looking self I'm like, wow, I look worse. Maybe it cures the acne for a bit. Okay, that's fun. But like, no, I don't see it. It's fun like as a gimmick of like a look back to what we used to do before Atlantis when we had floating sphere cameras. But like, that's not our real past. That's an irrelevant past, a fake history. Camcorders are a lie. They do nothing for anybody. I couldn't be caught dead with one in my hands saying, oh, he used to use that. Wow, I didn't know that's what he filmed on. No, I never would. They're bad, and I wish they weren't, because I want a camcorder. That body, the Sony X3000, that long body, that's what I'm looking for. It's a pinch, top to bottom, boom. And if it was a bit bigger with your 1-inch sensor, okay, we're doing that. But same form factor versus the claw grip GoPro, no. So no thank you to that. I've said enough. Camcorders, you suck. Grow up, get better, and do something that impresses me. Ow, the sun hurt me. I have a glimmer glass. Ulanzi. I'll leave. Bitcoin? No. Subscribe to my witness.